morning.
How can I more strongly connect with the ones I'm not connecting with right now psychically?
Gee, I wonder, if only there was a formula.
Get up.
Let's look at this once again.
Okay.
But more specifically, here is key. When you follow your passion, what happens? You raise your frequency. When you raise your frequency, what happens? You become a better receptor to higher frequency communication and energy. When you do that, higher energy manifestations are more probably.
Shout out to all the Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, Ascendants, 2 degrees in, you know what I'm saying?
Download those things.
Yo.
To make the soundtrack of my life, I need all 88 keys. Blood on the leaves, this ain't a week. They aim for the cheek and likely to reach. We just came in for the gems, but now we dodging police. Trying to serve it to the streets. I know they watching us, but they know ain't no stopping us. Popular when we popping up, they be jocking us, cause they know what's going down, ain't it obvious? Just from the populace, you probably ain't reach a high enough consciousness to reinvest your common sense. And so I offer this, a sign of gratitude, something to soothe your attitude. I was a sad and O2 before I had the tools. Running through these avenues, mama knew that I knew the truth at 2. Like path 4, I built a door and now I'm walking in at 26, prepared to explore. Had to expand, I ain't had no plan. I just had a fucking dream and $1. Let my father shit, I'm honored just to be me, cause this journey ain't for repeat. Shout out to Denise, the only one who believe me. They still don't see me, but fuck it, I'm on their TV till I be motherfucking on. We prosper, carry on, you can tell I'm grown. Yeah. Cause life will get better in no time. I'm just making it my time. I can still see the vision with eyes. My spirit done created a beautiful mind. How could I not shop for that like a star in a night sky? Yeah, hey, constellations. Think we made it, Feel the greatness, out the matrix. Congratulations. Cause life will get better. I'm just making it my time. I can still see the vision with closed eyes. My spirit done created a beautiful mind. I never let it start in a night sky. Cause life will get better in no time. I'm just making it my time. I can still see the closed eyes. My spirit done created a beautiful mind. How could I not ever let it start in a night sky? Constellations, think we made it, feel the greatness, out the matrix. Congratulations. Cause life again for no time. I'm just making it my time. I can still see the vision with closed eyes. My spirit done created a beautiful mind. I'm not shy, I'll let it start in the night sky.
Yes, sir. What up? It's your boy, Dave B. You watching Dave B on TV, where we go beyond that everyday bullshit consuming on a day-to-day basis. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my you know what I'm saying? Like, man, shoot, man. This tape, this song, I made this a while ago. But, you know, shout out to all y'all being here. Thank y'all for coming through. It's your boy Dave B. Like before we breaking down this retrograde and Sagittarius, it's Sagittarius season. So we about to get into what that means and what we, you know what I'm saying, what we might be picking up on. Because one thing about Sagittarius season, like I was saying in the previous live, you know, it's all about dance of faith. You know what I'm saying? We leading up into the new moon, and with the new moon, you know what I'm saying, that's going to be a whole new way, maybe even a whole new moral compass to have, you know what I'm saying, your regimen on what you want to do, what you want to expand in. So right now, you know what I'm saying, this is like the shit we still going through the waning period of the previous moon, full moon. And so right now we're just shedding all that dead skin off and things like that. So whatever you're going through at the moment, it really is a battle with you and your own internal sense of direction. You want to go where you try to take things. A lot of this energy is also interacting with the nodes. So again, a lot of decisions have to be made at this point. You know what I'm saying? This is the middle portion of the fall. So we getting ready to hit the cardinal aspect of the winter. So it's going to be the start of a new season. Whenever we start a new season and we hit a cardinal sign, that's when it's time to take off. And we need to initiate a lot of the things that we contemplated during time. So right now, what we're contemplating is, okay, now that I've released a lot of things that might have been weighing me down, emotional biases, things I was stuck in as a grudge or a feeling, even an obsession that made you feel comfortable, aka all that Scorpio energy. Now in Sagittarius, we get in a sense of, okay, now if I shed the proper things, how free am I? Am I willing to expand myself? And to go through that expansion requires a certain level of uncomfortability. So right now be the most uncomfortable time that you've been experiencing this whole year. You know what I'm saying? This might be where it all starts to kind of culminate, you know what I'm saying, where it all kind of piles up. And now it's like, yo, you have to make a move. And, you know, there's going to be people who choose to make a move. Going to be a lot of people who are too afraid. And these are the people who are mentally locked into a cage. And so I'm really going to have the willingness to see what it is. And see, the thing is with Sagittarius, it's a fire sign. So we see clearly what that path. But the question is, are you willing to step into that, right? And then here come Mercury. Mercury is early in Sagittarius, so it's creating this conjunction with the sun. So right now, a lot of what we see is on our mind and vice versa. What's on our mind is what we see. So if optimism, which is most likely being tested at the moment due to the square with the moon in Virgo, your optimism being tested, your vision being tested, and things as far as the details of the bigger picture are starting to be called to your attention. The question is, what are you gonna decide for yourself? And again, there's no right answer, but the true answer, what you truly resonate with. And a lot of this can be, we can use different energies to decide on what things, and part of those energies, again, the moon currently is trining Venus, Capricorn. So again, your values, how realistic are your values being integrated or involved in what you're experiencing at the moment, and things like that. You know, you could look at that as a one thing to make your decision on, because it really is like, again, astrology being the rest of the planets, even though your sun, moon, and ascendant are the main kind of characters that kind of where your main decisions come from, the moon being what you react to and you feel comfortable with, or your sense of uncomfortability that you can make comfortable, but for the most part is where your intuition is the kind of the source. Then the sun is how you carry out that ability or that vibration. You carry it out what it looked like. That's your sun sign. And then the personality throughout it all is your rising sign. And the rising sign is actually like, I wait, the rising sign to your perspective. So like, for instance, whatever your sun is and your moon, right, this is how you act and how you see yourself, but also how you feel and what you resonate with. But then the ascendant comes in and it plays a key role, because it's like perspective or direction based upon the energy that you're looking at things from, you know what I'm saying? So that's just what you got to keep in mind. Now, when we're dealing with an energy like this, like I said before, you know what I'm saying, our faith is being, things like that, we're being pushed to do that. You said potatoes, okay. You know what I'm saying? What's up? Let's be hitting in the morning. You know what I'm saying? For the most part, this is what we have to go on off the rip. Is like, okay, we're looking at the big picture, but we're also looking at and see part of what Virgo can do for us at the moment is it can kind of make you look at the reality of what it is that you're experiencing and what you might be striving for. Again, Sagittarius is like having a direction, right? It's that light that you can choose to follow, or again, no matter how you go about it, it's still like it could be a silver lining, or it can be a guiding principle. It's like your moral direction, right? What feels right to you based upon your meaning, your derived out of what you're experiencing. So the moon in Virgo is here to make, well, let's reassess that. Let's calculate that. Let's analyze that. Let's criticize that. Let's break that down into something that actually makes sense. How much of this are you really experiencing? You actually on the path realistically to reach that point. You know what I'm saying? Mercury is here giving us all the capacity to communicate about these things, but Mercury in Sagittarius is not doing the best here. This is where it falls. So Mercury has more time thinking clearly about what's right in front of it, and instead is too busy kind of seeing wants to be at, right? So that can interfere with things, but kind of how you can center all this stuff and kind of make it clear. See, the good thing about experiencing the Mercury in Sagittarius is whenever we have a retrograde and a planet is retrograde in a sign that that planet falls in, usually what we might look at normally, like, oh, Mercury retrograde is going to be kind of negative, a negative connotation, even though we know on this channel it's not really nothing negative. It's it make you have to think out the box, right? Which you normally would do with the energy, you have to kind of flip it and reverse it. But being that Mercury naturally falls Sagittarius, the retrograde low key is going to be very helpful in the sense of thinking twice before you leap on faith. This is you actually slowing down and saying, wait a minute, wait, what do I actually believe in? What do I actually see out of this? Is this actually where I want to put my faith? And that right there could be a saving grace for you to actually make a better decision before you just assume something based upon blind faith that could have been a mistake in a previous time, right? And we got energies like Chiron that are true. There's a gift in this retrograde that if you really take the time to look at it for what it is, it could save you a bunch of the experiences you might not have to go through if you just take your time, be a little more wise. Again, this is very much of if you know better, it's time to do better. And that's where this whole energy of this whole year really is compressed into. It being a year 8 numerology wise, again, you should be tired of going through these cycles. So right here is where you have the opportunity to set yourself up to break these things when we go into the 2025, which is the numerology 9. So going into 2025, that is going to be the year you're going to see who peaked game during the shift and who just let it all, and who might not be able to kind of keep up with the pace of where things are moving as far as these new times and things like that. And again, even when I say that, there's no one way, there's no right way, but the only way should be your unique way as far as your individuality and what you see as what based upon what you value, based upon what you want out of life, and what kind of experience during this lifetime you try to sell. So try not to think too hard about anything at the moment, but consider other options based upon what you might have just assumed based upon blind faith. You might have to reassess things and look at it and see it for what it is. That moon in Virgo right now is kind of bringing things up to be like, well, let's look at details of this. How realistic really is it to carry that type of optimism? And it might not be realistic, but you have a choice. I could get frustrated. I could start to doubt myself and put down, or I could take Virgo advice and say, you know what, you're right. Let me actually add a bit of this. Let me incorporate a little bit more routine, a little bit more responsibility. Let me actually take accountability for what I didn't connect as a piece in the mix. You know what I'm saying? And this could be literally some kind of situation with your financial, your financial status. It could be your mentality. And a lot of times that's what I always avert to. I look at it like, again, look at your own mentality. So get involved with all the things that are making you maybe anxious during this time, because Moon and Virgo can have a certain anxiousness to have certain things on your mind. Whenever you get into that space, don't just run away from the anxiety, understand it and embrace it. And that's how Virgo is an energy, actually, more than people assume. People might assume that it's hurting something, but really it's causing you to assess something to make it better. So Virgo brings a lot of improvement, and that in and of itself, again, carries on that earthly nature of Virgo, is the nurturer in a sense, you know what I'm saying? Or even if you want to look at the Virgin Mother, or I know that's ironic, right? But that's how that Mary story is, right? Because people a lot of times equate Virgo to Virgin Mary, but Mary was a mother, so what kind of sense does that make? But it's having a kind of a clear, pure perspective on maybe the responsibilities or things in which you need to take care of, and this helps you assess things in a way that's not so much overly emotional. It's kind of the benefit right now, because all that Scorpio energy, it was a lot of sensitivity involved. So now that we're in Sagittarius season, the sensitivity isn't really a factor, but we still feel things, but how we go about our feelings more so in that Sagittarius vein, in a fire sign aspect, where now it's to express things. It's time to express what we believe by basically practicing what you preach in a lot of ways. So if you believe something is true or possible, you have to make it on how you choose to carry yourself. So you can't let, again, other things that cause you to worry about the future, you can't let those things stop what you choosing to do in the present. And you have to make sure you can kind of maintaining that balance of things, right? So back to the Mercury just being retrograde. So we already know a retrograde is basically us thinking of the past ways we did things and reassessing things, bringing it into the present, and then deciding for ourselves how we want to move forward, right? But before we can move forward, we have to test out the lesson. So when it comes to the things that you used to believe in, right? Sagittarius things you believe in, your moral compass, your morality overall about things, the meanings and reasonings you gather from assessing and analyzing things, all of these put into question. And so now is a chance where you're gonna start to get hit with past ways you was making out of things, past meanings you had, maybe even past moral codes, or the present moral systems that you was operating off of. You might start to see how those don't apply to the current situation, which makes sense. We in a whole new time where it's a whole name. How you even operate and move according to things, life, people, places, and things outside of you is way different than it was 2, 3 years ago. So you have to now, it's like a firmware update. You got to update the software. You got to make sure that you're operating off of past moral systems that's not actually going to get you nowhere, right? And when we talk about morality and things like that, again, this could be your sense of what's right and wrong. But keep in mind that your perspective on right or wrong is purely your perspective. And when you out into the world, this is like a person who grew up in a small town, right? Small town values and things like that. So how you see the world, you think that's as lit as the world get, as big as the world. But then you travel out the state, you travel out your town, then out the state, maybe even out the country, and all of a sudden your world might be at first thrown upside down, and you like, what the fuck? Wait, hold on. What is, I thought like this, but you soon realize as you get out into the world just how big the world is outside your small town, or for people who grew up in urban areas, the block. You know what I'm saying? You went your whole life on your mom, your granny block. You know what I'm saying? Your granny's granny, everybody live on that one street, on that one block, on that one corner, and then all of a sudden, if you're lucky, you get the opportunity to see something else, go out that state, go out that country, if it gets that big, and then all of a sudden you come back to that block and you realize, damn, my street, which I thought was the whole world, is really just a speck in this whole grand scheme of life and things like that. And see, at that point, right, this is kind of that relationship between the ninth house and the third house, where you go to bring something back, right? And then, again, I'm talking physically, but that even happens. So even consider mentally you going to a different way of thinking, and then having to come back and deal with your reality in that sense too. So that's what Sagittarius as an energy can bring during the season. Is like you can start to just see things based upon you being put in certain situations that expand your horizons. And now you're looking at something differently. You're like, you know what? I just see it differently than I once did. And again, that could bring turmoil, because naturally that's gonna cause you in that expansion process to get out of that comfort zone. And ironically, Jupiter is exalted in Cancer, because Jupiter understands that no matter where you go, if you carry yourself with you and you're being honest and authentic, you can anywhere. So it don't matter how far I travel, right? I might be away from home, but I home with me, aka my heart space, and and again, realize what cardinal water really is. It's the ability, the power to create a new way to be comfortable and deal with emotions. So we might go through a lot of internal turmoil based upon what we start to see, our new perspective as it develops on and on. And see, right now is the early signs, but it's going to identify the closer we get to the new moon. And that's what the new moon in Taurus is going to bring. It's going to be like, it might be esoteric shock, where spiritually you were seeing things from one way, but this newfound emotion, right? Because the new moon is like a new emotion. So a newfound emotion about your morality, spiritual system, long distance, mental, and maybe even physical. It puts you in a different space, right? And if we equate spirituality, you in your space, you being in a whole different space, boom, all of a sudden you see the world differently. And when you come back into your body, your awareness, and you start to the people, places, and things around you, you might start to feel like, damn, I didn't see much. I didn't see something else. I can't even be who I previously was. My character is different. The way I carry myself is different, because I see things differently. And that might scare a little, and they might revert back or try to hide or avoid what they actually are starting to know, pick up on now. And you can't do that to yourself. I mean, you can, but what that's going to lead to is a full moon in Gemini, where it's almost like you're going to be able to kind of keep up mentally with what's going on around you. You're going to be scattered, and you might be in a space where nobody really speak your language. So you were so afraid of presenting and doing things differently based upon your new awareness, you dumbed yourself down. And while you dumbed yourself down, everybody around you continued to elevate. So you thought you was doing your environment a favor, because you was like, damn, if I start talking like, again, let's use the analogy of you you know, you grew up your whole life on one block. Well, you get an opportunity to go out the country or go to school or something like that in a different state, different place, and see a whole new side of life. And then you got to come back to that same block. But like, you didn't want to take what you learned and apply it to your circumstance and your surroundings. You instead want to hold that down because you was afraid how people might look at you. You might have been afraid of people judging you and looking at you crazy and stuff like that. So you kept quiet, and experiences you thought you was doing them a favor, but really you was just making yourself feel comfortable, dimming your light, making yourself seem small so everybody around you don't get offended or notice anything different. And then guess what happens? Over time, you can find yourself on that either in a situation, wrong place, wrong time, where based upon you not moving, you was in the same patterns and cycles as other people who are involved and wrapped up of the chaos of that block. Instead of presenting and moving different based on awareness, then you might have experienced something that led you to be in a different place. And then it could be a luck thing. This is where people start to equate to luck. Oh, I was, damn, I'm lucky. I started moving different, even though I was on my same block. I just don't. I was shit. So instead of on the corner and stuff like that, kicking it on the stoop, I was in the library, or I was at home, or I was at this job, or I was over here across the street, and the block that I usually be on got shot up. But because I'm on some different shit based upon my new awareness, you know, I wasn't caught up in the previous cycles. But when you dim your light, and you dumb yourself down, you put yourself again. God moves and operates in the sense of, if you know better, you got to do better. If you have new awareness, yourself and the ones around you a disservice from not actually being yourself. And one of the biggest sins you can commit, in the sense, and I'm not talking about sin in a religious aspect, but I'm talking about sin as in you missed the point, and you wasting time, you wasting your uniqueness, you're wasting your power and things like that. And when you do that, you're constantly go through karmic situations that bring you right back to that starting point to say, wait, hold on, I think you got the starting point wrong. And that's kind of like the internal dialogue. Shout out to Vinnet. You say, where you from? ATL. So don't get confused. If you know, as your experience, as you expand and things like that, you have to start to move different. You got to incorporate different ways of going about life based upon, and again, it's going to fuck with your faith, because once things you once believed in, you might believe the same things anymore. You know what I'm saying? And things like that. So when you're going through these different experiences, you just got to keep that in mind. You got to be aware. You know what I'm saying? You can't just be you can't dumb yourself down, and you can't dim your light. If you do that, then don't be surprised if the same problems from people, places, and things around you continue to occur. And there's no one that you can blame but yourself. You keep putting your situations. Nobody outside of you is forcing you down no path. Nobody around you is putting you in no space for you to be in an aspect of kind of going through those same mistakes and things like that. Again, we have to grow through that. We have to, in these reasons, like I said before, a lot of it comes to you not wanting to be comfortable. So you not wanting to be uncomfortable. You know, one of the best things you can learn how to do is learn how to deal with a little bit of uncomfortability, because that not dealing with uncomfort is always going to put you in a situation where it's like, through the experience you think you're protecting yourself, but after it's all said and done, you're gonna realize, damn, I'm still dealing with the same problems, same things, and I'm not actually growing. I'm not actually getting where I want to. And again, that process is what a lot of people be stuck in and things like that. But getting back to just Mercury in Sagittarius, so you know, one of the biggest things too is going to be a trine with Mars. So even how we going about things like that, right? We about to hit that retrograde season. So whatever you might be firm and standing in right now has the ability or the potential to be kind of shook up. So you might think, you know, again, you might start to question, like, where am I actually investing my passion in? What am I actually like? Where am I directing my energy? And so, you know, you have to kind of move and operate in a sense of just paying attention. Look around you. You know what I'm saying? Is what you doing kind of leading you there? And if not, you know what I'm saying, the thing is not to get too destructive. Don't be self-sabotaging, which is diving more into escapism. You have to kind of look at it and assess it as, okay, I have to learn through this frustration how to, honestly, with Leo, with Mars and Leo, it's like you have to set that stage, you have to set that pace, you have to let it be known. So this energy could also have you kind of, again, aspect of you dimming your light is not going to be the right move right now, because what we're dealing with overall is going to be that grand fire trine. So this whole season, or a majority of the season, is going to be operating off of that grand fire trine energy, and that fire trine is about And you got to be honest. And if you're not being yourself and expressing your truth, then guess what? You might get away with dimming your light. You might get away with not expressing things. You might get away with it, but ultimately you're going to be extravagant because the conversations that need to be had, the conflict that needs to occur, you try to avoid it right now. Again, you missed the opportunity, a gift that you was given to let it all shine, to let it all be seen. And if you don't do that, the people, places, and things around, well, you're gonna be stuck with that, and you're gonna have to deal with that on a Capricorn type energy. Like when we go into the Capricorn season, you're gonna start to see the reality of the cage that you set for that you put yourself in. So ways you not expressing yourself or you dimming your light is you putting yourself in a cage and throwing the key. And the more and more you kind of try to avoid that and you don't deal with that conflict, the more and more you're gonna start to feel those walls close in on you. And it's not your fault but yours. You know what I'm saying? So it really is a wisdom thing right now. You have to move better because you know better. And if you don't, if you choose to keep kind of letting things slide, you know what I'm saying, you're not speaking up for the times that you need to speak, then again, you're just going to see more and more those walls closing in. And then again, whatever you dim the light to be or minimize yourself to be, that's going to be the amount of room you're allowed. So when it comes, you now want to break out and you want to do something that you care about, that you value, you not even got room to do that. People are already gonna put you in that box. And I've been saying as far as the Pluto and Aquarius energy, once you put yourself in a box, it's hard to associate you with it, associate with you outside of that realm. You know, because everything is now being boxed and organized and things like that. And a lot of this energy that you might not be able to tap into, again, Pluto is still 0 degrees. So we still might be dealing with the reminiscences of what we didn't take power and control over back when Pluto was Capricorn. So the reality, the respect, and the responsibility that you got right now, it might not actually, you might not have the status to really be putting you in that position. It's like people might not automatically respect you in certain spaces. But it's kind of like a situation where it's like, well, what you gonna do about it? You can sit there and complain all you want, but if you're not actively trying to take power and control over these things and associating yourself with more self-respect, then nobody really gonna reflect that. And Sagittarius is that time where it kind of low-key help you because it's the ability to talk your shit. And if people still got you fucked up, expand that. Expand their, no, this is who I am and this is what I do. And depending on how you move during your season, you might feel comfortable or you might not. But regardless if you feel comfortable or not, it's going to take you through that needing to expand energy. So, you know, you're going to have to break free one way. You know what I'm saying? Now, another aspect of this too. So the moon will go into Libra soon. It's the moon is 21 degrees Virgo. So when the moon, as it gets closer into Libra, the moon is going to put us in a space where we're going to want to relate to things. So we're going to relate to people, places, and things that share our philosophy. And anything that kind of don't, we might start to look at it sideways. And we keep in mind with Libra energy, again, it's like balance and things like that. So again, it's not about just being around yes people or people who agree with you, right? And it's not about just everything being harmonious, but it is about a sense of where you're placing your value and whether or not thing on the other end is authentic, if it's a good match. Because how they say like opposites attract, well, opposites attract, but what makes an opposition a balance and a powerful thing is whether or not the values are equal. You know, opposites attract, but if the values being exchanged equal or on the same page, then this is where you always gonna have an imbalance in things. And this is kind of where a lot of issues start to arise because it's always gonna feel like you getting the short end of the stick. And then the worst part about it is the other side is always going the same way. So there's never a common agreement or an actual harmonious agreement to where both energies can coexist. It's always going to be a tug of war where I'm getting the short end of the stick. No, I'm getting the short end of the stick. No, I'm getting it. So it's always going to be kind of that for tat, back and forth, and nobody going to be satisfied until energies decide on what they can compromise on and things like that. So when it comes to in Libra, we might start to feel that way, but it's an opportunity to see it through the things that we are expanding in. So we might, again, the new awareness that we starting to develop, the new things that we can see, or the new angles and perspective we get in the bigger picture, it's going to be a matter of, well, can I relate this? And if you can't relate your big picture to people, places, and things around you, or if they can't see it how you see it to where y'all can create balance, then boom, you know what I'm saying? This is where things might start apart, you know what I'm saying? And again, it's more so, it's not so much something to be afraid of. It's something in which this is something in which, you know, you just gotta kind of observe and you know, see and things like that. So um but again, it has a lot of potential to help if you find a way to relate what you see, because that those conversations that can be had are opportunities for you to build on things. So if there are people, places, and things in which y'all can build and do something positive and kind of, you know, say y'all can see or relate to each other's vision, then this is where the combination of energy can come together and things can actually be built and be more powerful, because teamwork makes the dream work. He said, "Where's my crown? Where's my bling? Always drama when I ring." You in here rapping? You know what I'm saying? I don't know about all that, but for the most part, that's what we're going to be experiencing on that tip, right? As the moon slides into Libra, and that's going to be kind of a call to action too. You know, right now it is very much so looking at things and reassessing them for what they are. You know what I'm saying? And how they correlate with your faith or not. You know, and again, we might be going through a lot of kind of realizing as far as what we starting to look at now and be like, damn, okay, is that really still going in that same direction, or do I need to maybe reassess my moral system, or do I maybe adjust what's around me, or, you know, again, a matter of direct meaning and reasoning. That's why I said you really got to make sure you're doing the shadow work so that your interpretation of what you're seeing and observing is accurate. And when I say accurate, I don't really mean accurate in an objective sense, because at the end of the day, it's you, and so you are the person experiencing things from a subjective point of view. So there's no one right way or wrong way to do things, but the is whatever way is true to you. And again, if it clash with people, places, and things, you, to hell with it. You know what I'm saying? You gotta accept that for what it is. And if there can't be no agreement, then there needs to be a clear separation of things, and things need to. It's a lot of times you find yourself in situations where, again, like I said before, everything you experience is your fault. It's something that you incorporated and kept in your life and chose to kind of go on with. You know what I'm saying? So you got to be honest with yourself at the moment, and that's what the fire is good for, seeing through all the other shit. So you might feel this way, you might think this way, and you might want to you know, make sense out of this, but you see it for what it is. And if you seeing it, you have to be honest and accept that for what it is. Otherwise, you just moving blindly. And if you're moving blindly, then you kind of deserve what you get out of that, you know. But it starts with a clear interpretation. You know what I'm saying? If you too much in your feelings, you might be looking at things still from that emotional bias, or you might be locked. You might be searching for comfortability to the point where it's more so trauma driven. You know what I'm saying? If you try, this is where self sabotage comes in, because it's not about everything feeling good, but it's about things still making sense on an emotional end, especially during right now because the moon is in Virgo. But it's like, so it's not about necessarily feeling good all the time, but it is about understanding, well, is what you're getting out of the situation or receiving, is it comparable to what it is that you're putting in? Because if you're not getting back what you're putting in, then, you know what I'm saying, it's kind of like, well, let's reassess this. You know what I'm saying? Now, see some of this other energy. So the Mercury retrograde is going to be squaring Saturn in Pisces. So again, you know what I'm saying? So when it comes to the Mercury and Sagittarius squaring Saturn and Pisces, is going to be learning how to, you know, rethinking your faith about and things like that. Again, that goes to escapism and things like that, and not being so, you know, not allowing yourself to just give up and fall into that trap. But this is a matter of you rethinking that dream and rethinking what actually makes sense for that dream. Again, you might have different meanings and reasonings for why you're building what you're building in reality. And so you're going to have to learn through that friction as your morals change, or your sense of perspective or your meanings and reasonings change for why you're building, to actually understand that and allow that to be, or go through the frustration of seeing it different. You know what I'm saying? So you might have committed yourself to building a certain dream or living in an imagination and making it real, but you might have to look at that again and say, well, damn, okay, I'm the whether it's your approach to it or it's the things that you were deriving of it that you thought made sense, it might make more sense to switch up how you're doing it. So again, the approach, or expanding more so the perspective, and see through these both energies that share, both Pisces is the internal and Sagittarius is the external side of Jupiter. So when you're okay, so what we're making sense out of reality is in the internal sense. So correlated to maybe our intuition and what seems right based upon our imagination, right? And that could potentially be a delusion, but for the most part, it's the core of what we believe, and we're making sense out of that, making structure out of that. Then there's Sagittarius, plays out as the analyzer. So it's the way we're thinking about it. So we might be thinking about the imagination we're working on. We might be thinking about it in a way that's not actually working. And so that's where the friction gonna come. But it's still on the side of Jupiter, more of a chance for us to maybe get to a better conclusion or approach if we're patient enough, we're not too into our own self, into our own ego. You know what I'm saying? The ego part of the self, which is not really the self, it's what we protect ourselves with. The ego is what we protect our true self with, not really who we honestly are. It's who we are when we're trying to be protective or we're trying to form an identity, which can be beneficial, which is why I don't preach no shit like, oh, kill the ego, but it's understanding what's necessary and inserting it in those spaces. But for the most part, vulnerability is always going to get you out further as far as connection. Vulnerability is how we connect. We can't connect with ego. Ego, though, is how we separate and make clarity. So get too vulnerable and too mixy to the point where now you are abandoning your own views, morals, and how you see things for the sake of trying to be connected to something that might not actually have your best interest at heart. And at that point, toxic energy starts to play out, and you start to pick up on that toxicity. And that's when it's like, oh, I might need to jump in the ego real quick and create that separation. Let me get back to my identity. Who am I? Without anything, before anything started to interact with you, right? You was you before you came into this world. So getting back to that, a healthy ego is going to be that shield that kind of reminds you of that space of, oh, wait, hold on, this is my individuality and this is planning on expressing. Now, who you really are, again, is that vulnerability. You need that to connect. But when you're at war and you're doing things in the external, you might have to use a little bit of that ego just to make sure you're protected and things like that. Kind of, it's a balance thing. You can't go too much on one end where you're too vulnerable, and you can't go on the other end where you're too egotistical. You have to find a sweet spot, and it's all situational. You have to really, one of the things about spirituality I think is important, mine is context. What's the context in which you're applying certain principles, spiritual principles and things, or ways of going about things. Because we can all say, a lot of times, just like how, there's that, it's like everything you can say, there's another side to that, right? So we can say, oh yeah, be vulnerable, be this, whatever spiritual principle you want to put in that place. But the balance is always knowing the opposite side of that and when to apply that. You know what I'm saying? If you just go, like, again, that love and light shit, you could try to go about life all love and light, but then you're going to soon realize that the darkness exists. And that when you in the dark, ain't nobody there around you to share with. And so the purpose is to love yourself through that, the shadow. So it's like you have to know how to it's all contextual. Because, yeah, there's a lot of situations in which love and light can work, but context. There's some situations where love and light ain't gonna get you shit but played and put in a space where you forced to deal with a certain extreme of darkness. That's the thing. Anytime you play into one side heavy, you get knocked into the other side to show you, and that's what the balance is necessary to do. So, what I'm saying, getting back to this energy, we was talking about Mercury. So Mercury also is going to be opposite Jupiter. So out of, again, know better, trying to do better. You know what I'm saying? Jupiter is kind of like the expansion of things, and it's opposite Mercury. So they're in opposite positions. But as Mercury goes retrograde, there's going to be a lot of aha. You can probably start to see the balance in things due to Mercury being retrograde. It's going to slow down enough and kind of somewhat reverse things for you to see a lot more deeper into what you might be experiencing already. Again, you might have been moving very unwise, but in the moment, again, you thought it was the better decision for you. And like I was saying before, with Jupiter and Gemini, this has been a kind of a period of time of just very bad advice. And it's not that the people giving you advice is not, giving good ones. It's not so much about the advice, but it's just people's perspective, and the part that you start up on when you're receiving advice might be the wrong thing. And right now, you might start to correct a lot of those things that you thought was good advice, either that you received. You might start to see the other side of that and say, "Oh, damn, I didn't account for this aspect. I didn't see it that way." And now you'll be able to kind of probably come to better conclusion about how to go about reality or how to go about your experience. I'll say, because again, it might have been good advice for the person who gave it to you, but you are you. So that advice might not have actually helped you or been applicable to what you was going through as an individual having your own experience. So it's tricky, and why even when it comes to advice, a lot of times people ask for advice because they don't know how to make a decision. So they're hoping somebody can make a decision for them, and you can't rely on other people to make decisions for you. Even if somebody give you all that you should go for something, it's still you at the end of the day who's making the choice. And that's kind of the issue, taking too much advice, or because what you're really doing or really showing the universe is that you don't trust your own vision. You don't trust yourself. Ain't nothing wrong with asking, perspective, but at the end of the day, a lot of times people ask for a million perspectives and never choose one. And even worse, they'll choose one that ain't even their own decision. They'll just go along with whatever life is presenting them, and that's like you can never really have a good grip on life. One thing you got to keep in mind: the ninth house, Sagittarius energy, it's about lifestyle. And when it comes to lifestyle, what you might miss be due to the fact that Sagittarius is a energy, what you might miss is the ability to decide. You know what I'm saying? Sagittarius and even Pisces, a lot of times that go with the flow shit, it only goes so far. And I think that a lot of the reason why, see, Pisces and Sagittarius, they're placed, Jupiter placed right before a it's Jupiter placed right before a Saturnian energy. So a lot of times we be in that oh, the sound is bad. Damn. I don't know. Man, I don't know. The connection be fucking up. I don't know. At this point, I don't know. I need a new probably microphone and shit like that. But for the most part, when you're looking at, the placement of Sagittarius and Pisces and things like that, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to Insight 11. And shout out to all y'all. Appreciate y'all. Shout out to Voltage. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to energies like, again, Sagittarius and Pisces, they right before Saturnian signs. So that lets you know that when you're in your Jupiter energy, you're really assessing things and trying to monitor what the space is. Again, receiving meanings and reasons, but you get that the next step in the process is to move, to make a decision, to stand on it. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times it don't be about what you actually the decision you make. It just be whether or not you're willing to stand on that, because standing on it, right, you might start to learn new information as you're going through the experience. You're like, oh damn, I should add that to what I'm doing, I should add that. But that's exactly what's necessary. It's like, and actually ironically, look, if you look at Sag, right, Sag is getting into the experience and the meaning of reasoning, but through the experience you go through Capricorn, then you go to Aquarius, and then you go back to Pisces. So it's like it shows you that whole process of needing to go into the experience, and then once you go into the experience, you make a decision within that, and through that decision, you go through the Aquarian process of kind of gathering a bunch of loose pieces, because Aquarius is like the connect, it extends in a lot of ways. Like that 11th house is the connection and the association. So it's like putting all these pieces into different boxes and things like that, and then boom, now you come back to Pisces and you see what it all means to you. So it's kind of like an in and out when it comes to Jupiter and then Saturn, and then it's in that in and of itself is like extension, and then you go ahead contract, and that's you making sense, solidifying. And so in and of itself, again, the decision you make is a starting point, is what you build up, and you're supposed to stay solid throughout that. And that's not saying don't add information and apply it. Actually, that's what you're supposed to do. That's the responsible thing to do without too much emotion involved. You're like, oh damn, okay, learn that. Okay, let me apply my repertoire. Okay, boom, 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 boom. Next thing you know, now let's look at Pisces. Now let's expand again, but this time we expanded kind of in that Piscean way of, now you going with the flow, but you have internal wisdom and internal knowing because of what you decided on. But most people go through life and they don't make the first decision. And when they don't make that decision, boom, next thing you know, when they don't make that decision, next thing you know, they find themselves in a situation where it's like, it's like what they did didn't even matter because they didn't stand on nothing. So every time they was drawn to this side, they switched up. Every time something over here started to do something, they switched up. And that's not the energy that comes after. When you too much in that indecisive, this is why again you not really making no progress, and you really just kind of, again, you're not confident and you're not able to stand on things, you're not deciding on things. So that's kind of just a gem just about life. It's like you're not really going to know whether or not what you're doing is right or wrong, but that's not the question. The question is, did you make a decision? And when you made that decision, how firm were you in it? And shout out to Insight 11 because he said something dope on talking about how what was it, consistency, and how consistency and character, they kind of play out to that thing is, or it was about faith and how faith lacks based upon the whole idea of, if you can't show up consistently as a certain character, it's hard for anybody to really believe you. And really the truth of it is, you on some end don't believe yourself. And that belief in self, people get, I think faith in general, belief self mixed up because they think that's kind of like, again, the dreamland illusion. But faith and things like that have all it really more to do, a lot to do with discipline and decision and just staying firm, because things change, emotions change, how we feel. But if you can't consistently bring up that same space as you was in when you made that decision, if you don't make a decision, know how to get yourself back to that space that you initiated something from. So that kind of puts you in a perpetual loop where, again, you find yourself searching, and you can lie to yourself all you want. Oh, I believe myself in this. But if you didn't make no decision, that means that you really didn't even have faith in what you was choosing at the moment. So you could lie to people outside of you all you want, but there's just going to be something about what you put out that isn't strong enough to connect. And a lot of times, look, we all kind of dealing with that process of whether or not what we're participating in is going to get us that result we want. So we all go through moments of self-doubt. But the question is, when again, are you able to constantly make that same decision? Are you able to kind of go back to that same thing and stay firm on what it is you're putting out? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I don't know. I'm gonna have to get some kind of microphone system right now. I honestly, life going the way life going and shit like that. I'm just trying to get the shit out, but figure out how to improve the overall production quality of this shit. Because even the connection and stuff, being in the crib will help the Wi-Fi and stuff like that. But it's like, I don't know. We gonna figure it out though, man. Fuck it. But again, I appreciate y'all for dealing with it. Now, getting back to the Sagittarius shit, or the Mercury retrograde. So like I was saying, being opposite Jupiter is, you having to reassess that faith for real, and you having to think through it again, and kind of reapply the method of going about it, and reassessing whether or not what you once believed in still apply to now. Because you might not believe in the same things you believed in once before. You know what I'm saying? Whether it be people, places, or things, you know what I'm saying? Your own moral system and stuff like that. Things are changing. It's a new world, and you re-strategize your tactics and your approach to things. Don't take that too harshly. Don't take too deep. A lot of times, again, it's Sagittarius is a mutable fire. So it needs to stay abundantly, like, kind of on the up and up and things. Like, you can be too optimistic, but this is the energy and time to kind of look at the other side of things and say, you know what, I might be in this place, but there is potential to get myself out of it if I put myself in the right space, aka mentally. And when I go there mentally, I have to still express myself and be in that. And that's kind of where that grand trial plays out, because it's like, damn, you took yourself to a new location, but now it's time to express yourself express yourself there, get fixated. Mars and Leo, and then also the North Node and Aries along with Chiron. So we see the mistakes, you see the path, and now you need to apply that character. And when you're applying that character, the experiences you go through, take that into consideration. Let that be more reason into why what you're doing in the present, which might not look like where you're trying to go, it's important to still be present and apply and give it all you got, basically. To where there's no question, you know what I'm saying? You deserve because you was being wanted to see. So that's how optimism really works. That's how faith really works. Again, but a lot of that has to come from you making a decision. And see, the decision, if we are looking at astrology, the current transits, Venus being in Capricorn, that's where the decision got to be. To decide on what the fuck you value and stand on that. And when things breach that, people play more things, you have to face that. You have to be responsible for that, in a sense of being able to stand on, wait, well, hold on, well, this is the system in which my values are being processed. And things that don't coincide with that, you bend into that, that is kind of like a representation of you not being the authority in your own life. Be slick like that. And see, what's going to happen is you can find yourself alienated by not standing on your true values. If you let anything, the gush of the wind, change up what you value, or you allow, because again, you know, a lot of times people treat you how about you, but it's what you allow that confirms that, whether you think that you or not. So if you're not speaking up, being the authority of your own self and standing on what you need to stand on for it to be firm and respected, guess what? You don't have the respect come the next Venus transit, and that next Venus transit gonna be in Aquarius. So when you're associating yourself, it's almost like your mind, your thoughts, and what you communicate not gonna be able to be supported the right way or respected. You didn't even establish no foundation or seriousness about your own values. So this is where you get extremely devalued to the point where you might find yourself Venus in Aquarius alienated, or you could find yourself with a support system around that you're associated with and you're connected to in the mental sense, where you got many things, people, places, and things around you that respect and acknowledge where your fixated stance on, but they are willing to support and play key roles as the ultimate teamwork make the dream work. And then that builds itself to be Venus and Pisces, where now you have a love supreme, a love, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to the average white man. If y'all know, y'all know. If y'all don't, hey, it is what it is. But that's what you build into. You know what I'm saying? You can't just, right now it's very important and it might be uncomfortable because people who don't have that Capricorn energy, they might find it to be, well, I don't want to be mean but you got to look at it like, where are your boundaries at? And if you're not setting boundaries in the sand, nobody gonna respect it. And you might think you're doing others a favor by playing it soft, playing it small, again, dimming your light. Always you're gonna find that don't do nothing but get you in a situation that's less advantageous, disrespected, get you forgotten, get you again basically pissed on. Even if a person not gonna say it, of course, a person not gonna, you playing small don't isn't bad, because they getting the benefit of you playing small. They gonna keep coming around you and keep making you feel like that's the right thing to do. Like, yeah, you know, yeah, oh yeah, oh thank you, you so generous. They gonna hype you up. You know what I'm saying? And again, a false, right now, the last thing you want to do is move without a sense of self-value, because even that can be reflected in Mars. Mars being in Leo, where you have to have that speak up, roar if you need to be heard and to be seen and set the stage. But if you're not operating properly with values, again, and see Venus in conjuncts Mars right now, so you might get frustrated but not know how to for it to be taken serious. So you gotta be aware of that too. You know what I'm saying? But it all comes back to how much you value yourself and how much you respect yourself. And again, like I said before, people treat you how they feel about you, but loud is a reflection on how you feel about yourself. So if you find it to be a self-fulfilling prophecy that, damn, I feel bad about myself and people treat me bad, then again, you got to go back to the drawing board. And it might not be the right thing to do to jump on them, to blame them, to fight them. It might just be you having to sit in that room and say, dang, okay, I fucked up. How can I reestablish my sense of self? And that, those conversations, again, those are the ones you got to have with God at the moment. And in that space, it'll lead you to where you need to be at. And see, it's better to do that now in the new moon space. I mean, before the new moon, so that when, and see, this part of shedding, you know, and this is a lot of times, all of this is being triggered too by the moon being in Virgo. Virgo gets real. So Virgo takes all of that la 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 fluffy shit that you might be able to hype yourself in the mirror, but Virgo always gonna bring you that mirror and say, well, you know, the mirror away and just look at reality. And like, what are you even doing? What are you doing and what are you dealing with? Like, what's gonna work this, you know what I'm saying? Like, what are we working on, and what are we really talking about here? And that, and again, that's going to affect how you choose to relate yourself. And again, how you relate yourself, that could be flawed based upon those values, lack of all that sense of self. And even the moon going into Libra is going to square. So learning how to communicate your value and relate your value and things like that. So it's going to be a time where you're going to have to speak up, but you'll not know how to speak up. And Libra can be a very passive energy. So you might pass up times in which the opportunity to express your values and how you see it in your to be able to expand somebody through that relation. You know, but you relate or relating your way of seeing things. And if you can't relate how you see things, people are going to feel you. People not going to get you. People going to keep putting you in that box and stuff like that. Again, there's a lot of things right now that in the present moment it might just be tough to deal with, but these things are really going to affect how the momentum that we go into the new energy with year, things like that. It's going to affect how we move into that new space. You know what I'm saying? So if you're not willing to kind of stand on something and put in the work now and get serious, then that just speaks for yourself right now. You're scared. You know, you're scared, and hey, that's where that shadow work come in. Now, Mercury also going to in conjunct Venus, so misunderstanding how to think about our sense of value, how we value ourselves, our uniqueness, basically, how we misunderstanding how to think about us in a unique sense. So you might question what's worth rebelling against versus what's worth kind of foundating and being stable on. Again, it values. You know what I'm saying? When all those fails, look at the things you value and side with that. You know what I'm saying? Side with the values first. Because no matter what, if you find yourself around a bunch of things that you don't value, this is the broke energy beyond money. You know, you really, but like when a person might not have no money, but they feel rich, it's because the things around represent value. And the way the world works or the universe works, if you feel you and you got things around you that you value too, guess what? Don't matter how much you don't got in your pocket, somehow, some way, you're provided for. It's the way you carry yourself. You stumble into opportunities. All of a sudden, it's like, damn, nobody really tell. It's like you have a rich aura. But when people don't stand with their values and they move around the world and stuff like that, again, they can have all the money in the world, really broke. And they're the type of people who move in the world who look broke in. Celebrities and stuff like that, you see them in the streets and it's just like their eyes are sunken and they look like that. Their spirit is struggling. And it's because they don't have nothing of value, nothing that really means nothing. You know, the physical money and stuff like that. Yeah, you might be in a private jet, but you know what I'm saying? Like, is that really what you want? And again, some people be like, well, shit, I'm cool. You know what I'm saying? I'm in a private jet. If I got the money and stuff like that, I get the sentiment. Trust me, I get it. When you really look at things and stuff like that, like I said before, those be the first people, no matter how much money they have, if everything around them doesn't represent value and they don't value nothing around them, nothing around values them, their true self, these be the first people to off themselves. These be the first people to put themselves in a situation where they give it all away. They go broke, or they find themselves in a situation where they're not respected, and it's like the money means nothing. Decide for yourself what really matters to you. You know what I'm saying? And you gotta it's like, you know, that's a matter of, that's really talking about, I don't say that, but that's what you got to realize about value in general. Right now, it's a good idea to side with your values, because even if siding with your values leads you to have to rebel and oppose against things and kind of be in a solo space, at least you'll be in a space that's open and free enough to attract the things that value you and that you value. That's kind of the key phrase right now. People treat you how they feel about you, but what you allow is a reflection of how you feel about yourself. So if you feel value in yourself, well, guess what? That's going to start to formulate around you, and you can start that and say, damn, okay, well, I might have to go through the hardship of being isolated, but ultimately what I get out of that is the things that I really do deserve. How they say rejection is protection in a lot of ways. So don't take too much to heart at the moment. Understand that it's just part of the process, and that's where you can apply faith properly. That's where you can apply believing in yourself properly, because at the end of it all, you know, again, where you try, you have to put yourself there and emulate that energy the best way you can. And again, it gets shaky, but that's the testimony. That's the actual test. Whether or not you can withstand that struggle and that tension, that resistance. You know what I'm saying? The greater the resistance, it probably is something worth getting, because nothing is given easily. And the things that are offered to you that look like it didn't take no effort, a lot of times those things are there to show you a glimpse, but oftentimes are quickly snatched away from you. Now, the moon is also going to be square Neptune, so a lot of our delusions are being challenged. So allow that challenge to happen, because, yeah, it feels better to be in that imagination and that delusion, but because something feels better don't mean that it's the right thing. So allow your mind in the retrograde Mercury to challenge all delusions at the moment and challenge reality, and you're going about it and approaching it, because again, your moral system, your way of going of things, your approach to what you believe in, because that's really the relationship right now between like Mercury and Sag, even the Sun to a degree, and Saturn, because Saturn and the Sun and Mercury, they're all part of, like, if you know, the grandfather, the father, and then the son, right, the youngest son. So when they're all hanging out together, it's like they're damn near, it's like relations, right? But the thing is, the Mercury is looking at the sun, and the sun looking at Saturn. So Saturn has the wisdom, really, that's like the older wisdom, the more broader wisdom, right? Being that connected with Neptune, and just Saturn being like the older energy or older planet. Saturn has that foresight that the sun might lack. So a lot of times, the sun in your chart looks to Saturn for direction and guidance a lot of times. And the thing is, just like a grandfather might tell you directly. It might expect certain things for you to put into work and experience it, but the grandfather always got a word that kind of can at least give you a guidance or instruction or strength. But as the, you got to be willing to kind of see it and take it for what it is. And see, you got to be mindful, because where the sun is at, what you paying attention to, that's what the Mercury is going to pick up on. Even if you looking in your own natal chart, right, you see Saturn being a thing, right? Saturn is kind of like a guiding principle based upon what's real to you, what's reality look like. So Saturn always gonna have that 2 cents. But then the sun, you have to set an example for where your mind is going. So if you put your attention in the wrong things, guess what? Your mind is gonna be the first to get there, and it's gonna start to reflect everything that you're looking at. So this is why, again, where you put your attention, and even like I was saying in that live stream, talking heliocentric ideology of the world and how they use entertainment, the government like that, right? Shadow government and all people who run the world use entertainment basically to blind the masses and get their mind on bullshit. So when your mind is on what? Everything else follows along. All of a sudden you can't be as productive. All of a sudden your focus, your energy, your time, attention, all of these things are diminished or misdirected, misguided to things that don't replenish you. And see, the things you that replenish you is putting that time, energy, and focus into more feminine principles. Like when we look at the feminine energies of the zodiac, and just in general, when you put your energy, time, attention, and focus, masculine type energy, the right things that you care about, you get cared for in return. The analogy of you providing for, you know what I'm saying, if we just talking about a traditional home, you providing for the family, and then you being nurtured. That's, again, it's like you provide on the external, but again, the feminine principle is you being nourished internal to be able to get up and go back into the world and do things properly, you know, or do things with the same level of focus and intensity. A lot of times, and even the way they have kind of turned the world upside down, this is why even on the gender wars tip, again, so many feminine energies are so far pushed into the masculine principle that there is no nourishment and replenishment for the masculine energies. Why, again, you get niggas acting like bitches and bitches acting like niggas. And it's just like everybody is now afraid. Everybody traumatized to the point where nobody want to make the agreement or sacrifice to do what their energy is naturally prone to do. Instead, it's like everybody feel like they got to do androgynous energy, where now men got to be, and this is not to say that it just isn't important. That's something we all do got to do, but the men got to be nurturers too, right? And then the women also got to be providers too. So it's like they created a sense where everybody thinks, as far as energetically, they got to do androgynous energy. How we even get propaganda and things like that being pushed for, again, all the kind of extra things, as far as even considering, because I'm not here to say that sexuality is not a spectrum and things like that. I understand that principle and things. This is where you get kind of the confusion, because what they're doing is they're inverting people where their energy, again, they feel as though the only way to go about life currently is to carry on androgynous energy. And what happens is nobody can really fully the energy they supposed to be in. So everybody feel like they getting shorted in exchange. And then on top of that, if you add things like the third dimensional aspects of the economy being in a certain state where it's hard for people to even make a living and stuff like that, again, it just adds more intensity and confusion into the process and things like that. Shout out to Kobe, you know what I'm saying? RIP. you know what I'm saying, it adds to the confusion of things, and it makes it more difficult to build and things like that. And even the Aquarian energy is kind of the Pluto and Aquarius is kind of making it so that even modern relationships and how they move, how we're gonna have to start moving is more community based, where again you might not even be able to kind of maintain a relationship. You might have to figure out some kind of, and this is not to say that I'm not talking about polygamy or things like that, but I'm saying you might have to deal with some form. It's like our approach to certain things got to be more Aquarian, where it's less about the fairy tale land idealized version of how marriage used to be. It might have to be some completely new shit, more so about the system of exchange, and that system is dependent also on how you as a unit can associate with other families and things like that, where again even talking about community, it's not just about, you know, you as an individual. It's like if you do have a family, you as a unit got to be able to, you know, associate. You said, can you help me spiritually? No. You know what I'm saying? You got to help yourself spiritually, but I can provide just things to think about, you know what I'm saying, things that might lead you to a direction to figure out how to help yourself. But again, I don't claim to be able to help nobody with their spirit. Like everybody, a spirituality in sense is individual. You know what I'm saying? You could get a reading and I can maybe give you information and show you point at things, but honestly, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? You can't look at even that as a principle. I'm gonna tell you right now, and I'm just being honest, is even the way we think about certain things right now, you gotta understand that no one can help you but yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like straight up. There's nobody who got the answers for you spiritually. You know, spirituality, individuality. You gotta be one of a kind. So I would be I would be blasphemous if I said that I could help you with your spirit. All I'm here to do is relate information and be an example of, I don't know, be an example and be a piece of all possibilities, be one of a kind and show others how to do the same thing. So hopefully I can inspire you to heal and help yourself spiritually. But no, I cannot directly help you spiritually, and that goes for everybody, you know, because I ain't shit. Just straight up. I got my own problems and stuff like that. Straight up. You know what I'm saying? And that's where we at right now. We got to be honest. And that's what Sagittarius is good for. Blunt honesty. So even how you're looking at things, being bluntly honest with yourself and realizing like, hey, you fell for it. You came to this world for a reason. So if you looking around and seeing things as fucked up, well, you fell here. So the best thing you could do is be a good example. You know what I'm saying? And lead a life that you can be happy and satisfied for in the back. And then again, that should inspire others who want to be on that same path to go ahead and build. You know what I'm saying? You said thank you for your honesty. Yeah, for sure. Again, a popologist gonna say, yeah, I can help you with your spirit. That'll be $100. You know what I'm saying? And gonna have to keep coming back, keep coming back, keep coming back, keep coming back. That's how the demons do it. But I'm gonna be real. You know what I'm saying? At this point, and associate myself really with that kind of mission to be the nah, I ain't no savior. I'm here to just express myself and be the truest me I could be. You know what I'm saying? And again, I build things with other individuals who I see have kind of ideology and moving through life and stuff like that. That's the things that we got, like the Each One T class, where we teach about spirituality and we teach about holistic practices and different things you can do with your mind, mental health and things like that. Um, you know, the seventh conference is a showcase of entertainment, and we all bring things together. We can build, everybody bring their businesses together, and we prosper that way. And then you know, even the show that we got, the Creators on Vacation show, you know what I'm saying, we go out there, we get our spirituality, and we express ourselves, we build, we get creative, and we express ourselves, and we collaborate. Community shit, that's what I represent. You know, things that the kids can take, and we can make a better generation for children after us. Because honestly, I don't even look at things like the you know what I'm saying, I'm getting my bag. I'm in my bag right now. I'm a little passionate, but for this, all I'm saying is like, you know, it's so much more. Up to McCovey, good morning. You know what I'm saying? This how we hitting it for the morning. You know what I'm saying? This is what my mind is on this morning. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, you know what I'm saying, how we gonna change the world is being examples, and really it's about giving it all back. Because the better we help our minds and build better senses of awareness subconsciously, the better we can consciously make better decisions and be better examples for the kids that we raising. And even if you don't got kids, again, it takes. So when we look at the younger generations, before you judge them YNs and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? The young niggas, before you start judging them and blaming them for problems and shit like that, you gotta look at this. It takes a village. They grew up with the village to the whole world. You know what I'm saying? You said, Jesus help me and my family. Yeah, I tell you, Jesus can't help you either. Again, you have to help yourself. And you know what I'm saying? But again, if you use that spiritual system, that's cool for you. I'm not gonna talk down about somebody's spiritual system. If that is helping you gain some kind of stuff like that, shout out to you. But I'm gonna let you know right now, even that is a worldview and a perspective. And you really, the best thing that the Bible can do is just teach you, look inside yourself. You know what I'm saying? Everything that Jesus and things like that ideology represents is really talking about you and yourself. You know what I'm saying? When you talk about God, a piece of all possibilities, you being you, that's what Jesus represents. It's a metaphor and stuff like that. But I'm gonna get off that topic. You know what I'm saying? But again, you know what I'm saying, when we talking about this retrograde, different things when it comes to our spiritual systems, our approach to life, and how we building on things. That's what it's really all about right now. So you know, again, if it caused you to question your faith, caused you to question your morality and shit like that, you know, process of assessing what is triggering those thoughts and things like that. You said, I'm saying that just did help me and my family physically. I'm happy that he did. Cool. That's good for you. Good shit. So you know, when it comes to this retrograde and things like that, you know, just being mindful of how you're assessing things and building on a new the new sense of what you want to believe in and the direction you want to go for life. That's what the retrograde is going to represent. So don't be afraid of the different shit, things that it might inspire you to look at differently. um Last but not least, the Mercury is also going to be sextiling Pluto slightly. So this is the first opportunity we're getting to think in terms of what the new world is going to look like and what we have to continue, what we might have to move as far as a direction in taking power and control in this new world. And that's going to look like you, based upon you developing a better sense of what you believe in and your own philosophy. This is going to be you having an opportunity to now associate that. And that new association or way you're going about it, it's almost like the wisdom that you're accumulating is going to help you figure out better ways to accumulate, you know what I'm saying, it's going to help. All right, you're doing a little too much. But the better way we able to utilize this energy is an opportunity for you to be able to take power control over your life. You taking new philosophies, you have better wisdom about experiences and what you're doing and stuff like that. Yeah, Jesus Christ has a solar plexus energy, being of ourselves, our true selves. I agree with that, but you know, your perspective of Jesus Christ might not be the regiment and things like that. So you know, don't yeah, do what you do though. Everybody gotta live their life. Anyway, thank y'all for coming through. You know what I'm saying? Y'all have a beautiful, what is it, Sunday? You know what I'm saying? So it is Sunday. So, you know what I'm saying? Go ahead and do what your solar plexus needs you to do. Set the tone for what your week gonna look like. And don't allow what might be kind of on you off at the moment to drag you too far down. You know what I'm saying? You gotta be that shining light and that representation of what could be. You know what I'm saying? So keep moving as an example. Yeah, much love. Catch you on the next one. Peace.